Welcome to part 45 of the Basic Training Booster Pass Edition. Today we're going to cover everything you need to know to play MADRID Drive on 150cc. We're going to need to get up close and personal with some walls in this run, so the recommended build is going to be Peachette, Mr. Scooty, Rollers, and Paper Glider. However, the run starts off crazy and pretty much never lets up, so let's start with what I usually call my level 1 strats and use Teddy Buggy instead, and then we'll build on it from there. At the start of the run, we're going to super mini turbo around the first left turn and then do 2 more mini turbos before starting a left drift and grabbing our first coin. When we approach the stairs, we want to start a right drift purely for alignment purposes and then trick while grabbing the leftmost coin. That right drift is going to angle us much tighter when coming off the ramp so that we can go to the inside of the wiggler here. In either case, after building up a super mini turbo, we're going to left drift around this next turn and try to tighten up for a bit to build another super mini turbo. Now, once we get up the stairs, we're going to trick as early as possible off this little black platform, and then as we approach the shortcut, we want to use our mushroom to take as tight a line as possible through it. Now, you may have to delay a little bit before using the mushroom to really get a tight line around this turn, and that might require some experimentation. After tricking off the stairs, land in a right drift to build a mini turbo, and then build a super mini turbo around the next left turn. What I do next is, after landing, start a left drift and then hold wide all the way until I build a mini turbo. One more mini turbo will carry us on to lap 2. There's not a lot to specifically talk about for a bit. Just play the track exactly how your brain is telling you should play the track, taking lines as tightly as you can. When we get to the thwomp section, left hop before tricking off the ramp at the end and then do another right alignment drift up the stairs while grabbing the leftmost coin. In this little courtyard, you can actually go in between the sets of tables here, but you need to do a left hop to fix your alignment first. Now I kinda messed it up a little bit here, but that's the idea. Some more straightforward drifting will bring us to the orange boost ramp and the glider section. We're gonna wanna do some vectoring here, and you must make sure to trick off the fountain in the lake, because if you don't, you won't get enough height to clear the fence on the other side. Even if you get the trick, you might have to hold back on the joystick a little bit to make that happen. But in either case, land in a left drift, use your mushroom, build up a super mini turbo, and then release it and drift off the top of the first ramp so that you can mini turbo trick off the second ramp. This trick is a bit weird because unlike most tricks, the direction really matters here. It's kind of similar to Ribbon Road, where you want to hold right on the joystick when you do the trick to launch you a bit further than a normal mini turbo trick would take you. After that, we're on to lap 3. It starts off basically the same as lap 2, except that instead of going into the thwomp section, we're going to go left. Do a counter hop right drift and then hold wide until you get a mini turbo. Then left hop into left drift to use your final mushroom. Everything else is pretty straightforward from here on out. Build up a super mini turbo around this long right turn, use it to get a mini turbo trick off the 2 ramps, and then hit the boost pads before exiting the soccer ball section. I don't know if it's just the paces that I tend to get, but I've never had an issue with the soccer balls or the Goombas, so you shouldn't really have too much trouble avoiding them. And that's it for the level 1 strats. This is basically the run that I put together before seriously grinding out the track, so I suggest that you learn these strats really well first, because for my personal best, we're going to switch to Scooty and then basically just add in a bunch of extra strats to build on what we already learned. You can see this at the very start of the run where we built an extra mini turbo and then added in one more left drift before the first stair bit. Now for these stairs, we just did a left trick off of them for alignment purposes only, but if you throw in a left hop before that drift, the increased mini turbo of Scooty should allow you to get a mini turbo trick off the stairs. Then when coming out of the wiggler courtyard, we're going to left hop out of our drift and do a counter hop left drift to get up close and personal with this wall. This is going to allow us to get the super mini turbo just like before, but with a much tighter line than we were able to get on Teddy Buggy. Everything else is the same up to the start of section 2, where instead of a single left drift right drift combo, we're going to do full on snaking by adding in an additional left drift and right drift. The snaking is going to continue on to the next turn. This, by the way, is the point where you can actually start to feel the neuropathy in your hands develop in real time. Now, going into the thwomp section, we're going to do another counter hop left drift to mini turbo trick off the stairs, with yet another counter hop left drift to mini turbo trick off the ending ramp. Finish it up with one more mini turbo trick off the stairs into the wiggler section, and then we're going to add in some more snaking before the orange boost ramp. And then everything else is pretty much the same as we already went over. We do add in an additional mini turbo trick before going into the soccer section, but one thing to point out here is that I was on a super good pace, so I played the final section a lot safer than I needed to, which ended up costing me a few tenths of a second. But by this point my hands were straight up dying, so I just decided to take what little bit of a W I could get and then call it quits right here. Anyways, that's it for the strats. Let's talk about the track a bit more while checking out my current personal best. And as always, if you found the video helpful so far, don't forget to drop a like and a comment before you go, since this is the best way to help the video get spread to more people. Thank you all, I really do appreciate the support. Now, MADRID Drive. I'm honestly not really sure how to feel about this track. On the one hand, it has probably one of my favorite time trials in the entire game, with every section keeping your fingers on their toes, I guess. It's also got some nifty shortcuts and a lot of really fun tech, what with all the mini turbo tricks and the glider vectoring. On the other hand, I have a really strong bias against tracks that feature snaking as the optimal way to play, since you just can't really do this online, which means the track is a lot less interesting in worldwides than it is in time trials. I also find the Wiggler courtyard to be way too big and empty, given that you basically never want to go outside the Wiggler. After my first go around through Wave 6, I originally had this as my second favorite track in the entire game, but I don't know, after spending as much time on it as I have, I gotta be honest, I just think the tracks like Vancouver Velocity and Rome and Athens are just overall more fun for me, and Sydney Sprint has a better vibe. It's weird because on paper this track has pretty much everything that I love about the game, but for whatever reason I just can't really imagine myself bending over backwards to pick it online. Don't get me wrong though, all that being said, the course is really tightly designed, and like I already mentioned, if I were trying to be as objective as possible, this is probably the best designed city track in the entire game. It's also the city track that provides a vibe that most makes me feel like I'm in the actual city. The only gripe I have from that perspective is that I wish the soccer section were longer, because it's probably my favorite part of the track, both for the way it looks and for the change in music. But yeah, all in all, really fun track, really solid choice for the final city track in the Booster Course Pass. And that's everything you need to know to play Madrid Drive on 150cc. I've only got a few more tutorials coming out, but I've got a ton of content planned after that, so make sure to hit the subscribe button before you go so that you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to do some basic training, and as always, I will see you in the next video.